Let's see. Okay, I'm live. Cool. All right, guys. Give this a like and a share on your way in. If it's your first time, please subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna make this short and sweet. Well, I mean, unless you're living under a rock, you know what has gone on in our country in the last 48 hours, and your heart is probably heavy. If you're a human being, you feel some type of way about everything happening right now in the wake of tragedy again. And I hope the title of this stream sums up everything I'm about to say. You know, bullets are not political. They don't care, right? Let me first, before I even get into it, let me first give my condolences to the families, the victims, the friends, everyone who's feeling this pain. And I want to give a special tribute to Joey, one of my moderators, who unfortunately lost a cousin in the El Paso shooting. So if you happen to see Joey in the chat or on my comments at all, just let him know that you're thinking about him. I mean, this is just, it's hard to really put into words. I can't really process everything that's happened. Really, going back to last week with the garlic shooting. But one thing that I do want to point out is, you know, any one of us could have been at either one of these locations. It doesn't matter who you support in the upcoming election, whether you're liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, none of it matters, because when a bullet flies out of a gun, it could hit anybody. Who honestly can say that they feel comfortable taking their family to the store or to the mall or to the movies or to the grocery store? Like, who feels that confidence right now? We don't know when our time is up. That's why I say it's important to enjoy every moment on this planet, because we only get about 15 minutes here. You know, some lives are going to be cut short. Some people will live until they're 112. And because you don't know when your time is up, live it to the fullest and be the best person you can be, and always try to improve. Always try to be a better person. Now, with all that said, it bothers me to the core how people from both sides of the political aisle have cashed in on this tragedy and made this about politics, just getting whatever clout they can. I'm not letting conservatives off the hook either, because I've seen it on Twitter, all these stupid hashtags trending, right? The message that I want to deliver is this. You know, as I've said before, the fight that we face is not about politics. It's not about Democrat or Republican. Doesn't matter who you are. If you are outside of what they want, their agenda, the globalist agenda, if you're outside of it, you're a threat. And even if you're inside of it, you're still a threat, because eventually you could revolt. So when I look at these tragedies, it's really hard, and I need to, you know, kind of tread lightly with this, because there's one side of me that thinks, man, this is bad. It looks like a white supremacist shooting. I mean, he wrote a manifesto and it was on 8chan, and these are white people doing this. That's one side of me. That's me being fair and honest. But the other side of me looks at it like, who has something to gain from this tragedy? Right? This seamlessly fits into talking points and a narrative and an agenda. So I don't know which side of that I'm on just yet. It's hard not to look at some of the very obvious inconsistencies and the coincidences, which there are many, many, many coincidences that I'm sure you guys have seen online. It's like, should I go down that rabbit hole or look at it on the surface? Okay, it was a white supremacist shooter. I condemn that. I condemn all shootings, all violence. But man, it's hard to ignore how so many things lined up just perfectly for the narrative and why they should take away guns, repeal the Second Amendment, and they're beating the drum for censorship, further censorship. And, basically, where do we go from here? Because I guess the owner or founder or whoever is at the top of 8chan is thinking about shutting it down. And of course, all of these scumbag politicians are out there pounding the drum for gun control. And on Saturday, I had a friend of mine. As you guys know, I still have a lot of friends who are on the left. I had a friend of mine reach out to me and just bombard my inbox with all this. You see, you still think building a wall is more important than healthcare and gun control and all this stuff. He was just an emotional wreck because he was seeing on TV all this drama. But me, I'm an outside of the box thinker, as you guys know. So from the very beginning, I was looking at it through an eye of skepticism. Like, where did this come from? Who could have wrote that manifesto? We don't know. Is it just because it was released on 4chan or 8chan before the shooting happened that we know that it was that guy? Right? We've seen some of you, if you're thinking outside the box, you've seen the instances where these things are staged and hoaxed, and there's just a lot more to the story to uncover. And before anybody can actually uncover it, they get slandered for it. They get called a conspiracy theorist. And there are legit people who do that kind of research that I follow online, more so than I follow even political people. Like, I'm not just going to be one of your run-of-the-mill conservative talking heads, just repeat the same old thing. I want to go down that other hole because I want to figure out where this is coming from, who's behind it, because this wasn't just somebody who decided, I'm going to go indiscriminately shoot up a Walmart. I don't care if I hit. For all he knows, he could have shot a bunch of people who agree with him politically. We don't know that. And that goes for both of the shootings. I know the facts and all that are still coming out. The facts of the case are less important than what it does to the country and what it means going forward. And without me fully taking sides in this, because like I said, it's not left, right, it's not political. We got to protect that damn Second Amendment, guys. I'm telling you, don't let these tragedies soften you up, because if somehow they can repeal the Second Amendment, they're going to try harder than ever now, harder than ever. At least in my opinion, I feel like they are, especially because this is political season, election season. If somehow a Democrat politician gets in office, if Trump loses the White House and we lose the Senate and they have a majority, I don't even want to go there, but just know that's how important this is. In the meantime, they're going to continue working on the censorship. There's going to be more calls for censorship. It's like when you look at the way the people that are getting censorship, I've said it's not political. The censorship isn't political. It's about shrinking the Overton window. Look at how they've treated Tulsi Gabbard. Oh, because she slammed Kamala Harris, all of a sudden she's one of Putin's puppets. Doesn't matter that she's on the left, doesn't matter if she's a Democrat. What matters is she's outside of the mainstream. She might as well be a left-wing Trump. She might as well be, because she does have that populist appeal. But the point I'm making is she's getting censored the same way a classical liberal would get censored, the same way a conservative would be, an anti-vaxxer, anybody that questions the shape of the earth, anybody that questions what goes in our food. If you have wrongthink, if you are a dissenting voice, you will be silenced. I think they go after conservatives 10 times as hard because we're spearheading dissent. People who are conservative actually have the potential to infiltrate politics. But outside of that, it's about shrinking the Overton window so they can achieve their agenda. And I'm not going to let Republicans off the hook either, because even though some of them will speak up and try to defend the Second Amendment and the First Amendment, whatever, for the most part, they're not doing anything until they get pressured. So that tells me they're just complicit, or they're in on it. They're just acting as controlled opposition. You know, so yeah, if you're just tuning in, one of my moderators, Joey, lost a family member, I believe his wife's cousin, lost a family member in the El Paso shooting. So if you happen to see him, just, you know, send your condolences. You know, it's very sad what happened, and I think it's scary times right now. It's scary. You know, this is only going to get worse as we move towards the election. Right? You think about it. We still have a year to go. How do we know that this isn't going to happen again? What if something like this happens right before the election? To put it fresh in everybody's minds who they should support. Now, let me talk about the Twitter hashtags, which, again, I don't know if those were astroturfed to drive a wedge, or if those hashtags were actually trending because people were hashtagging it. It's hard to know. Right? They put all these crazy hashtags out there. White supremacists, Trump white supremacy, you know, terrorists. And doesn't that not feed into what Ilhan Omar said a couple weeks ago? Doesn't it just amplify that message and drive a further wedge between Americans? Again, these bullets don't discriminate. They could hit anybody. You could be the most staunchly far-right Republican gun-toting person. Hell, he could have shot some racists in there. Who knows? So that's why I say this doesn't matter. This should hit everybody exactly the same way. Regardless of what you believe, if you love Trump, hate Trump, the hashtags and the way people have dug in, it's like, well, my side believes this. You know, you can't take away guns. You got to talk about the mental illness. And you got left, it's like, we got to get rid of these AR-15s. You know, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, guys. It really doesn't. And it's times like this that make me feel like they really are winning. The wrong side is winning because they're able to use this tragedy to their full advantage, and they go full throttle. They've destroyed just about everything that we could have been unified on. The only way a country can survive is by symbols of unity that bring people together, like, I don't know, the American flag, maybe the Pledge of Allegiance, the freedoms we have. We don't even agree that we need a border. Think about that. We don't even agree anymore that a tragedy like this, a shooting, should be solely on the shooter, not on Trump, not on Republicans, not on Democrats and leftists and people who peddle this, you know, gun control propaganda. It's on the shooter. Or is it on the shooter? You see what I mean? People they've used it all to just scramble up the conversation. And now we don't agree on hardly anything anymore, which is a recipe for disaster. So I guess I don't really have a conclusion to everything I'm saying. I'm just kind of spitballing, just getting my thoughts out there and thank you for the super chat, whoever just sent that. Jario said, exactly, Mike, right before next election, tragedies like this are expected. So how can we sit there and be cocky like, oh yeah, Trump 2020 in a landslide? We don't know what else they have planned. And man, I love Trump. I love what he's doing. I don't agree with everything he says and does, and sometimes I'm scratching my head like, why this? Why now? What agenda is that? Other times I'm like, yeah, this was 4D chess. He's ahead of the curve. How hard is it, seriously, to just come out and give a full-throated condemnation of white supremacy? How hard is it for him to just say it? I mean, does he secretly want the left to continue believing this? We all know they're going to call him a racist regardless of what he says, right? But I'm talking about if he were to just come out and just say it again and again, that he condemns white supremacy and racism and all that. If he just gave a presser and said that, you know how much easier that would make the jobs of people like me who are trying to, have rational and reasonable conversations with family members, people in the middle, people who I'm trying to convince to support Trump, not because they think he's amazing, but because it makes sense to save the country. They're not able to see past, well, Trump's a racist. Trump won't outright condemn this and that. It doesn't help. I know the media plays probably the biggest role in dividing the country. Same with the politicians. Bernie Sanders out there pushing around Charlottesville again. Just a disgusting person, right? Bernie, him as a human being is questionable right now. But there's people like that have microphones and platforms that unfortunately they have the eardrums of people who are in the center, people who are independents. These are the people that Trump can reach if he would just come out and condemn this stuff. And he just, for whatever reason, he won't do it. And he hasn't done it. And maybe it's because it's part of his strategy, but I, at this point, don't see the strategy there. It's just it's frustrating. I'll just say that much. It's frustrating to constantly have to say, here's why Trump's not a racist, while they keep on saying he is a racist. And they're blaming him, of course. Like, who's surprised by that he's going to be blamed for this shooting? Nobody's shocked by that. But he makes it easier for them when he doesn't just condemn the things that they continue to call him out for. So Mikey's for sure condemned it, and you're wrong. Yeah, he has, but why won't he do it more? Why not more? Why not do it again? You can say I'm wrong all you want, but I'm just playing advocates of the people on the other side. So while you're sitting there telling me I'm wrong, you can't tell me how I'm wrong because he said it once. He needs to say it again. Why not do it again? Why not? That's all I'm saying. Obviously, I don't think the man is racist. I don't discern that at all. But we're fighting against a system. This truly is a warfare of information and a narrative. And when you have these mass shootings like this, that they take control of the narrative when they have this kind of tragedy. And on top of that, they can really pound the drum for why people like myself should be censored. People who are sane and rational and speak out against the narrative. So I just wanted to get that out there. That's pretty much it. This is another unfortunate tragedy. I really hope that the Ohio shooter is dead. The El Paso shooter, I mean, he needs to fry sooner than later. It's just craziness, man. And all I can say about the Second Amendment is we got to protect it at all costs, no matter what. I mean, just the rhetoric around this. Look at everything that they're doing now. Look at what they've been able to do. It's just kind of suspicious that right before these shootings, what happened? Tulsi Gabbard came out and just wiped the floor with the front runner Kamala Harris, like who I think is the chosen one. What else they do? The FBI said that conspiracy theorists, who are really just truthers, people trying to get to the bottom of things, people who have a different opinion, people who are not focused on politics but focused on the corruption and evil, QAnon, Alex Jones, all the people who are focused on the conspiracy aspect, these people have been labeled a domestic terrorist threat? What? So what does that mean? Does that mean they could end up on the FBI watch list? Does that mean I could end up on that list? Like, what does that mean if the FBI would come out and say something like that about people who would pick apart tragedies like this or do some serious digging? Why would they do that right before it happened? But then they won't say anything. Antifa won't be labeled a domestic terrorist organization, despite the fact that they commit acts of violence. And all their violence is inflamed by political rhetoric. So, there's obvious double standards here and hypocrisy that we can call out. But what is the overall goal and agenda here? That's all I had to say, guys. I need to get back to work. Appreciate everybody that's watching. Shout out to all the moderators, all the new subs. Please like and share this. If you're new, please sub to the channel. And again, if you see Joey in the comments, please give your condolences, man. It's sad time for our country. Like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next live stream. Hopefully sooner than later. Peace.